Just 1 minute to talk about Doctor Who. Just 1 minute, or maybe two. Welcome to YouTube, we're talking Doctor Who. For you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of TMDWP. And this episode is a response to a thing that was going around Twitter a couple of weeks ago, I believe. And it was all about, where did you first encounter actors who played the Doctor? Was it in Doctor Who or was it in something else? And lots of people were chipping in and responding to that. And so I thought I would give that a go, see what I could remember, and also do it for companions as well. So here is my rundown. The answer to the question in the majority of cases is probably in Doctor Who, certainly as far as companion actors go, and the majority of Doctor actors. So if I don't mention anybody, it will have been as the Doctor that I first encountered them. Here are the ones that I didn't first meet in Doctor Who. And the first one of those is Jon Pertwee, and this sort of doesn't count because I didn't realise it was him. For a long time I probably laboured in the impression that I had first encountered Jon Pertwee in The Five Doctors, and then Spared from Space and so on. But actually, I encountered his voice elsewhere, and that was in the movie Wombling Free, which, if you haven't seen it, is a wonderful 70s live-action Womble story. If you don't know what the Wombles are, look them up. But it was a lot of fun, and the Wombles were played by short actors, many of whom would go on to play Ewoks in Return of the Jedi, but were voiced by other characters. So David Jason, I believe, is one of the voices, and Jon Pertwee plays Tobermory, one of the Wombles. So next is Tom Baker, who I came across in the BBC's adaptation of The Silver Chair. Way back in the late 80s, early 90s, the BBC adapted 4 of the Narnia novels, The Silver Chair being the last of those adaptations. And Tom Baker plays Puddleglum, the Marshwiggle, who is rather different from his portrayal of the Doctor. And to be honest, I don't think I linked the two in my head for quite a long time. It's a great performance from him and very unlike his Doctor. Next, I suppose, let's do John Hurt, the War Doctor. He obviously has had a long and illustrious film career. I've seen a number of his performances. Somebody pointed out that he's one of the voices in Watership Down, so that's almost certainly where I first came across his voice. And then we're into the new series Doctors proper. Christopher Eccleston, I had thought, when I was originally coming up with this list, that his performance in Doctor Who was the first thing that I'd seen him in. And then I remembered that I had actually watched the last 5 minutes of The Second Coming, which was the thing that Russell T Davies did with him prior to Doctor Who, which, if I recall, was something to do with him being the second coming of Jesus, or not. I didn't watch it all the way through, so the last few minutes didn't really make much sense. So that's where I saw him. And then Peter Capaldi is one of those actors who's been around for a long time, obviously, and I'd seen him in a number of things, obviously things like Torchwood and that. I couldn't recall where I'd first seen him. All I knew was that it definitely wasn't Doctor Who. I looked back through his IMDb page, and as far as I can tell, the earliest thing that it's likely that I would have seen him in was in an episode of the first series of Sea of Souls, which is a 2004 series with Bill Patterson as the lead of this team of paranormal investigators from a university department in Scotland. And he was the kind of leader of the team, and then there was the believer, and then there was the skeptic, and various paranormal things happened, and there was never really any conclusion, I believe, as to whether it was paranormal or not. That was kind of the idea of it. I don't recall what Capaldi's performance was like, but apparently he was in one, and so I will have seen that. And right up to date with Jodie Whittaker. So I think probably her performance in Black Mirror will be the first thing that I saw her in. And then I've also seen her in Good Vibrations, the movie, where she's playing someone Irish. And then in Black Mirror, she's just doing sort of generic southern English accent, which is why I had no idea she was from Huddersfield, very close to my part of the world. So please let Jodie Whittaker perform in her natural accent, please. So that's it for Doctors. On to Companions, and I've got a list of 4 here, and one of them I'm not even sure about. I just suspect I might have seen this person in that before. So we'll start with William Russell. His performance in The Great Escape is not quite blink and you'll miss it, but it's quite small, so I probably didn't notice him much, but I will have seen that before watching him in Doctor Who. And the next one, I think I may well have seen Nicholas Courtney's appearance in Yes, Prime Minister before I saw him in Doctor Who. Not entirely sure about that one, but it's a fun episode nonetheless, where Christopher Benjamin plays the French ambassador, if you're interested. And then the only other 2, as far as I can tell, are Bonnie Langford and Sophie Aldred. And for Bonnie Langford, we return to Wombling Free. She actually appears in person with much less gingery hair than when she was Mel and wearing glasses, but it is indeed her playing the girl who befriends the Wombles. And there's a hilarious scene where she has her hair entirely over her face, and you can't tell whether it's the front or the back of her. It's funny, the things you remember from your childhood. To be honest, that film is worth watching just for the Wombles music, which is great. And finally, Sophie Aldred, who I came across in a kids' TV show probably not that long after she was Ace, called Melvin and Maureen's Musicograms, and she played the titular Maureen. I couldn't tell you anything else about that show other than that was what it was called and she was in it. So there you have it. That's my list of Doctor and companion actors who I encountered first somewhere other than Doctor Who. I'd be interested to hear your lists if you want to share them. min_dw@yahoo.co.uk. Just to round off the episode, a final plug for Hooverville, which is happening next Saturday in Derby. The latest is that they are close to selling out for the very first time, so congratulations to Steve and his team. If you haven't bought your ticket yet, it's a really good idea to buy it now, as there may not be tickets available on the door. Sadly, as I've said before, I'm not going to make it this year for the first time since the convention began, which I'm really sad about. In particular, would have loved to have met William Russell. We'll see if I make it back in subsequent years, but for now, for those who are going, I hope you really, really enjoy it, and I will speak to you soon.
Just 1 minute to talk about Doctor Who. Just 1 minute, or maybe 2. Welcome to YouTube, we're talking Doctor Who.